It's the Brad and John Show.
The Brad and John Show for Friday, 22nd of August. Is that right, John? 22nd?
That's right. Yeah, it's 8/22 today. You know, Brad, 29 years ago today, I moved in to Washington University.
Really? Really?
Yeah, this day in John Combest history.
29 years ago, I turned 80.
Oh, yeah. That's some Hildebrand math right there. Hey, you were born in 1935, Brad, remember?
35. Graduated from high school in 53. And John says, well, there was no Hazelwood High School in 1953. But
yeah,
yes.
and I say it a little dumber, though.
A little dumber.
You know what I say correctly, though, Brad? It's time for Brown's time.
What is that again, John? What did you say?
It's time for Brown's time.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
You do such a good job. But the only problem is you don't sing it twice. Well, that time you did. Twice, ladies. There we go. And we start off with...
It's number 3.
Okay, have you seen the latest Twitter battle between Steak and Shake and Cracker Barrel? Have you seen this, John?
I've heard about this. Yeah, so Cracker Barrel changed their logo.
Yes.
And Steak and Shake is like, hey, we're awesome and we use tallow in our fries. Is that the gist of it?
Okay, first off, a little background. There's a new CEO of Cracker Barrel, and apparently she's shaking things up, and they're changing the restaurants around. When's the last time you were at a Cracker Barrel? Or first, I should ask, have you ever been to a Cracker Barrel, John?
Yeah, I think the last time I went was probably February of '01.
And did you enjoy your time at Cracker Barrel?
It's fantastic. I think I've been to Cracker Barrel maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. Every time it was fantastic. They were always on a road trip. Like I would never, I'm not so fat and disgusting that I would actually make a separate trip to Cracker Barrel and then go home. But like I would treat it like an event. You know, I'd eat some, sweet potato pie or something, then get back on the road and drive.
The interesting thing for me is being a person that has my entire adult life being in the radio business, kept a very close eye on demographics. It's no fact or no hidden fact that the population of the United States is aging. The average age keeps getting higher, mainly because of the fact that we don't have the new young base coming on. Birth rate is down, yada, yada, yada. So Cracker Barrel to me, and once again, me being 90 years old, Cracker Barrel has always been a place where I look at that like where my mother would go or my grandmother would go. Now, obviously, me being 90, I don't have a mother anymore and I don't have a grandmother anymore. I did have 2 wicked grandmothers. That's a whole nother story. But the ladies come in, new ladies come in to try to reinvigorate Cracker Barrel. And she's changed the logo. She took the guy away from leaning on the Cracker Barrel. And she's changing the restaurants around. They're not as dark and they're doing different things. I have mixed opinions about this because you and I have talked about this before. You being, knowing business and stuff like that. Everything has a life expectancy. And there are certain things that, like, for example, I gave this example to one of my friends the other day when they asked me what my first car was. I said a Pontiac. And I said to this person, they don't make them anymore. And they went, they don't? I go, no, they stopped making them. In 2010, there's no more Pontiacs. And once again, it was a brand that some people would say outlived its usefulness. I have a problem with the Steak and Shake thing. Because of the fact that if you know the whole story, and matter of fact, even to the point, have you seen this? Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has come out against Cracker Barrel changing. Did you see this story?
No, I didn't see this, Brad.
Yes, the governor of California and the official Twitter account for the governor of California is making bad comments about Cracker Barrel changing. Okay. Here's my view on it, especially with the Steak and Shakes. The Steak and Shake people are going after Cracker Barrel. Steak and Shake does not have a leg to stand on because Steak and Shake is not the Steak and Shake it used to be, mainly because of the fact that one of the mottos of Steak and Shake was, do you remember this, John, for years and years and years?
Yeah, tip your curb boy because he's hard up for cash and he'll want to talk about it on the radio in 2025.
No, it was insight, it must be right. And Gus Belt, yes, I still remember who the founder of Steak and Shake was. Gus Belt purposely had the food line right in front of the store. If you sat at the counter, you would literally sit there watching them. The grill man was always on the left, and then there was the dressing table, usually a woman, and they would slide the burgers down. The guy would mash the burgers, the smash burgers, which now everybody does, the smash burgers, and they'd slide them down. Well, most of the steak and shakes have been, they're not like that way anymore. As a matter of fact, when you walked in the front door of the restaurant and there was a waitress who greeted you, "Hi, welcome to Steak and Shake."
But what do they have now, Brad? If you go in and you sit down at a table, will someone come to your table, or is there a less desirable option?
No, you have to go to the kiosk. And if you want to refill in your soda, in the old days, the waitress would come around and say, "Hey, want some more Coke?" And you say, "Yes," and she'd disappear and come back with a filled glass. Now you have to scan your barcode to make the soda machine work. So I say, Steak and Shake, you have no room to criticize Cracker Barrel because you ain't what you used to be. Now,
hold on, Brad. What is their criticism of them? I haven't seen their actual criticism.
Oh, they're saying, "You're changing things up. We don't like this. Steak and Shake's still the original." No, it's not. It's not the original. It's far from the original. There's no curb boys or curb girls. Matter of fact, that was the way it worked. The women work days.
Yeah,
the guys
there
work
haven't
nights.
been curb boys for how many decades, Brad?
I don't know, a long time, but see, that should come back. I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
John,
do you think you could pay somebody if a local pool in West County can't find teenagers to sit there for $20 an hour on a life stand looking at pretty women all day? Do you think you could pay somebody minimum wage to be a curb boy and have the Brad Hildebrands of the world annoy them with old-timey stories for $15 an hour?
John, I'd go back to work there tomorrow if they have the
I know you
service.
would, especially if the minimum wage was $1,000 an hour.
No, I'd go back to work there. I'm telling you. See, once again, Steak and Shake, don't be telling Cracker Barrel that you're not what you used to be when you are not what you used to be, because in the good old days, there was no drive-through. There was a inside eating place. You sat down. There was a cute waitress.
And you could walk through the cigarette smoke, and you could pat the waitresses behind and say, "Give me another one, sweetie."
How did you know that, John?
And that's the way it was, and we liked it.
Remember, I worked there during the 50s. So, okay, you ready for number 2?
Yeah, Brad.
It's time for Brad's number 2. It's time for Brad's number 2.
Have you heard the story about Donald Trump not being real happy with Pete Hegseth? Have you heard this story?
No. What would possibly cause that? That seems like Trump's kind of guy.
He's a little bit upset with him because of the fact that they're spending money on all his ex-wives. You know this crazy story?
No. How?
Security.
Oh, okay. And so does Trump say, "Hey, to heck with your ex-wives"?
Well, the interesting part of this is, and if you read the story, there's a couple long stories I've read about this, and I do have a problem with this, is that I didn't realize this, but, with the president, you have Secret Service protection, but apparently the Department of Defense has their actual Army guys who are like the CCIS kind of guys, they work for they're actually in the Army, but they're like undercover police kind of dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, they run the protection detail for the Secretary of Defense and his family. And since Pete Hegseth has 3 families, his current and 2 previous ones, they are all getting protection. And some of the some of the Army guys who are assigned these duties aren't happy. A couple of them complained. Apparently one of his ex-wives lives in Minnesota, and he complained anonymously that all he does on the weekends now is sit in this woman's driveway in his unmarked car and make sure nobody comes up to the place. And apparently Donald Trump has said to Pete Hegseth, "Pete, this is ridiculous. We're spending all this money on you." Supposedly, the story I read, that as many as 400 of these Army MPs, whatever the heck you want to call them, are working security detail either for Pete or his ex-wives and his kids. And I'm thinking,
there's 400 people at some point this year have been working. That doesn't mean 400 people are working every day for Pete Hegseth's family.
And the one story that was relayed by one of the guys, and I do have a problem with this, I really do, that Pete Hegseth went to one of the Nationals games, the baseball game, and his security team says, "Sir, we need to get you into a private suite." And he says, "No, I want to sit out with the fans." And because he sat out with the fans, they had to put like another 20 guys on his detail, so he sits down in the cheap seats wherever he was. So in other words, they have to have all these people surround him and stuff like that. I'm thinking to myself, okay, dude, John, sometimes we see this situation where people become like, it's like the story we had a couple weeks ago about Jasmine Crockett. She has to have a new rental Escalade every week, and normally the the Congress people walk from their office building to the Capitol Hill.
But she, as the story goes, she quote unquote insists on having like a Lincoln Navigator or an Escalade or something.
Right, one of her staff members has to drive her and stuff like that. I get so sick and tired of these people when they become like, government people and they go, well, I'm a public servant. You know what I say about that, John?
What's that, Brad?
Go back to the old days when the rich people lived in the big house and the servants lived in the little house behind. Get what I'm saying, John?
Yeah. Do you think story number 1 for Brad's Big Finish, will we have 3 stories in a row that say, in my day, it wasn't like that at all?
No, we won't. Here's number 1.
And now, Big Finish, Brad's number.
I have to make a public apologies, John. I'm going to apologize right here and now for something I did last night that I am embarrassed about.
It sounds like you're setting up for some sort of a phone call.
Yes. Do you mean I'm going to make a phone call?
Yeah, when you start with a slow cadence and it looks like it's a boomer trying to concentrate on their phone, I know that you're looking to make a phone call.
You're wrong, John. I received a phone call last night. I was going to eat dinner, and being the single guy that I am, I thought to myself, what's going to be tonight? Hadn't been to White Castle in a while, so I'm driving to my neighborhood White Castle, which, by the way, is the best White Castle. And by the way, this is, John's going to say, here I am bobbing and weaving or whatever you call it. I posted this on my Facebook page last night. I tried to get a date at White Castle last night. This is not what my story is about, but I tried to get a date last night with Julia. And Julia put me down because you know why?
Oh, yeah. Brad, did she say something from an old-timey movie that our frequent listeners are annoyed by hearing every day?
No. I pull up to give my order at the White Castle that I normally go to, and I realize that there's a new little area where you give your order. They've revamped it, and it's now an AI order taker. And the screen comes up, and she comes out. She says, "Hi, I'm Julia. I'm here to take your order." So you talk to Julia, and you talk back and forth to her. And after I gave her my order, I go, "Hey, would you like to go out tomorrow night?" And there's a long pause. She doesn't say anything. This is on my video, by the way, and I've already had a couple of people comment say it's pretty funny. And then she says, "I don't understand your question." So AI...
Well, I mean, you had women play dumb with that question before too, Brad.
Right. AI has hit White Castle. Okay, I'm driving up to have dinner at White Castle last night.
And you're in, of course, you said the best location, which in your neighborhood is Huntley. So you're at the very best White Castle in Huntley. Go ahead.
The best White Castle in Huntley. And my phone rings, and I see the number come up, and I think to myself, I pretty much know who this is, and it's a 618 number, which means it's somewhere in Illinois, and it's an Edwardsville number. It was a nice young lady calling me from the SIUE Alumni Association.
Oh, wow. She wants you to give a little cash, right, Brad?
Right. She's asking me, and she couldn't be nicer, and she identifies, I can't remember her name, and she identifies herself as a freshman at SIUE. And I said to her, she says to me... Did
you get her Instagram? Because I'd like to look her up.
No, I don't remember her name.
Oh, okay.
But wait to hear the rest of the story. She says to me, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm a freshman here at SIU, and I'm working with the Alumni Association. And I'd like to talk to you about maybe giving some donation to the Alumni Association." I said to her, "Do you know who you're talking to?" And she says, "Well, I think I do. Is this Bradley?" And I'm going, "Yes, it is."
And first of all, that's not your name.
Well, it is my name. My real name is Bradley. And she says, "Is this Bradley?" And I go, "Yes, it is." And she says, "Well, I do know who I'm talking to." And I go, "Well, there's one problem." And she says, "What's that?" And I said, "I'm sort of like the black sheep of the SIU Alumni Association. Nobody wants to associate with me." And she says, "Why would that be?" And I said, "Because I've been declared dead by the SIU Edwardsville Alumni Association." And then you know what I heard, John?
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Click. She hung up on me.
Wow. Hey, good decision on her part, Brad. The youth are okay. And now, 2 important things from that. Number 1, you know that that's a fail-safe way. And you should tell the story again about how you've been declared dead by them.
Yes.
Because it is a great story that I've heard before. And you know how to get out of one of those calls. And secondly, isn't it great to know that somebody that's probably 18 realizes the benefit of sunk costs? Like, she had already lost 30 seconds of her life she'll never get back. And she has a decision. Do I waste another God knows how long on the phone with this man, or do I just cut it short?
The story behind me being declared dead was years ago, out of the clear blue. I heard from someone that I went to school with at SIU decades ago. And this particular person had left the St. Louis area and moved to Dallas and been there a long time and moved back because her mother was in ill health. And I don't know how. I think I met her at like some kind of a business after hours or thing like that. And I didn't even recognize her. She didn't recognize me, but she saw my name tag. Anyway, long story made short, we talked back and forth a couple times. And she said to me one day when she called me up one day and she goes, "Are you going to the 50th anniversary of the SIU Edwardsville?" I go, "I didn't even know about it." She goes, "Well, don't you get the mailers and things like that?" I said, "No, I don't get anything from them anymore." She says, "Don't they call you? They call me all the time." I go, "No, I don't hear from them." It's like I don't exist anymore. So a couple days later, she calls me and she's laughing her butt off as I answer the phone. She goes, she goes to the Alumni Association to get tickets because she's going to the event. And she says, "Hey, my friend Brad Hildebrand said that you don't call him anymore and he doesn't get any information from you anymore. And we graduated the same year." And the person looks up the computer and says, "Oh, he died in 1988. They had me.
And how would they? I mean, clearly there was someone with the name Brad Hildebrand that must have perished in 1988, and they thought someone incorrectly by human error assigned it to you.
No, the rest of the story is, at that point in time, the Alumni Association was under new management by Steve Jankowski, who I went to school with. Steve Jankowski was an SIUE journalism guy just like me, and he went on to have a very successful journalism career, worked for years at Channel 5, was a very good reporter at Channel 5. And he took over the Alumni Association, and one day in the mail, I get a letter from Steve Jankowski, and it says, personally typed to me, the whole bit, no form letter or anything like that. "Dear Brad, I'm glad to announce to you that we have relived you," or some word to use, reinvigorated you, or put life back in you and the whole bit. And he says, "Now that you're alive again," so he says, "call me sometime." So I called him, and he told me the whole story that was in their notes, and they had like a CRM kind of thing, where apparently one of the people, and it might have been one of the students, called me on a fundraising thing. And they claim they called my home number, which he actually had the number. I go, "That's not my number. I don't know where the number came from." And whoever answered the phone says, when they ask for me, they say, "Oh, he died in 1988. So they logged that into their system, and I became a deceased member of the SIU Alumni Association for like 22 years or something like that. Because this happened like in 2002 or 2003, something like that, a long time ago. So I was a deceased member of the Alumni Association until I was brought back to life by Steve Jankowski back in, I guess it would have been like 2002.
Well, congratulations, Brad. And on the fifth day, he rose again. On August 22nd, he rose again.
There I am. Okay, two things to talk about. We got to talk about the Cardinals baseball guy, the Mark Lamping thing, and we'll start off the segment with the text. Actually, two texts I got concerning John Combest.
Nice. Now, Brad, when you say two texts, like you're known for exaggerating. Did you actually get a text? Because you started the story with one, and then it became two. When we come back, will it be four texts you got?
Well, it was one. It was one that I think was truncated into two. How's that? Okay.
Gotcha. Love it.